Hello and welcome to Senior Speak New Hampshire on your Concord TV, sponsored by AARP. I am Karen Ulmer Dorsch, the producer-host of this program and a volunteer for AARP. And as always, I'm delighted that you have joined us today, and thank you for being here. We've all heard the term March Madness, and many know it to be a term that is originally described for the 3-week-long college basketball tournament that occurs this month. And it still refers to that event. However, today, people also use this term to refer to any intense and unpredictable activity that's happening in their lives. That's another definition of mad. And it occurred to me that this definition fits the period of our lives in which we are either approaching or beginning or in the midst of retirement, which for many is a period of intense and unpredictable activity. Moving from a career to retirement is one of the major turning points in everybody's life. And for those who have been caught unprepared, as many have been who are in our current workforce, because of the pandemic that has forced them to retire early due to the hazards they've encountered on the job, this can be a very emotionally traumatizing experience. And with that in mind, I wanted to offer our viewers some support as they confront this life-changing time. And immediately I connected with Henry Quinlan to ask him to help us through this exciting but stressful period. Many of you remember Henry as my guest who told us about writing our personal life stories for families and friends. And today he's going to talk about how we can build our emotional pension as we confront the final years of our lives. So without further ado, Henry, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Take us away on another exciting journey as only you know how to do.
Thank you, Karen. So when I first became interested in this topic, I started to look for resources. Where can I find information about non-financial guide when you're in retirement? And I soon discovered that 99% of all information is financial. And so I said, well, that doesn't seem right, because I know myself and a lot of people, these issues come up in retirement. How do you build a life that has some purpose and meaning for you? So I became interested and started researching it and talking to some people in the field. And it really comes down to, it's all about loss and change. Loss and change. And I first came to that topic really in my midlife when I had a personal and professional crisis, and I ended up doing two things, going into counseling, and then I took a course at Harvard on midlife crisis. And the course at Harvard taught, the basic course was all about loss and change. And if you look forward, back on your life and forward, it's all going to resolve around loss and change. So in your senior years, you have an identity you've worked hard to create in your professional life, and all of a sudden that's gone. And if you hold on to it too long, it's going to hold you back from really enjoying life. And that's some of the things we'll talk about as we go through this. The whole purpose of this is to give you some help to live life to the fullest. The retirement years, maybe 20, 25 years, there's no reason why you can't enjoy them. Whatever your physical capabilities or health issues are, well, accepting obviously the most tragic of health issues, but otherwise most of us there are ways we can enjoy this life and live it to the fullest. So my background is in publishing, and the highlight of my publishing career was I was asked by President George Herbert Walker Bush to arrange for the erection of the statues make way for ducklings in Moscow as part of a summit with President Gorbachev in 1991. Here are the statues in Boston. There they are in Moscow, exact duplicates. But one of the lessons I got from this is people are people. So if you go into Boston Public Gardens and look at the statues, you're going to see young families in there with the kids riding on the ducks and the parents taking the pictures. You go to Moscow, you're going to see the exact same thing. People are people. So here's the book in Russian. It was just a few printed for the ceremony, but Robert McCloskey, the author, came over, and it was a great, great time. So how do I define emotional pension? Emotional pension is the storage port for mental attitudes and strategies for meeting the emotional changes expected and unexpected encountered in the retirement years. One of the benefits of being in the retirement years is you look back on your life, you've met these challenges, maybe in a different form, but you've met them before and you've dealt with them. So you have a whole background of resources to call on to help you meet the same challenges in some respects you're going to meet in retirement. So I mentioned this is how I came to the course. Another very interesting, when I started to do this course, this talk, I titled it, "Don't Forget to Bounce the Last Check." And that horrified people. They were afraid, here's this man going to come on and tell us to spend all our money. So I took that title away, but the title has got a great story behind it. So I was living in New York City, and I went to dinner one night. This friend of mine brought another friend that I didn't know, and he was a psychiatrist who was visiting New York from Seattle. He'd grown up in New York, and he was dying. He had a month to live. And he said, you know, I came back here to see my psychiatrist because I'm mad as hell that I'm dying, and I got a lot of work to do and the things I want to do, so I'm going to take it out on him. But we kind of hit it off, so the next 2 weeks we had dinner or coffee 3 or 4 times. And the conversations ranged all over the block. But one day I said to him, so when people finish counseling with you, how does it end? They say, I'm out of here. You say, get out. He said, no. He said, you know, we do have some of that. But he said, 90+% we negotiate. And then we come to agreement, okay, now it's over. And he says, but whatever the negotiation lead to, and it ends, when they're just at the door, I'll say to them, hey, don't forget to bounce the last check. And if they look at me with horror on their face, we didn't connect. If they smile and they say, got it. And all it really means, he said, all I want them to do is live life to the fullest to the end. And that's a terrific message for all of us. So here are the numbers that tell the story. 99% of all information is financial. I actually gave this talk to a group of financial advisors. And the moderator said, you know, Henry is right. That's what we promote 99% of the time, is all about financial. 62 is the average age of retirement in America. 18 is the average length of a retirement. And that is expanding as medical technology and services get much better, so I can see that. I look at my grandchildren. They're projected to live 106, 110. Yeah. They're going to have a long retirement. So 200, here's the magic number, 200. 200 is the number of hours each month you have to fill. You previously were using those hours to work and travel to and from work. And I don't mean fill them in 15-minute increments, but that gives you an idea of the time that you have to fill. 31.5% of the number of people in Massachusetts in 2019 that admitted to being seniors who were depressed. Mm-hmm. And that's a big number, and I'll explain that later. And then 43% of all seniors admit to being lonely. Yeah. That's another key phrase. And we'll go into that too. So the major areas are depression, loss of identity, and loneliness. On depression, this is the study that, then as I read the study, there are some reasons for it that make sense. Seniors have more deaths of friends and relatives. That's going to cause some depressive thinking. They take more medications. Sometimes the side effects of these can be depressive. But there's a good rule, there's a 2-week rule. If you're feeling depressed for 2 weeks, you should seek help. And there are plenty of resources online, and even start with your local senior center. They can direct you where to go. In your state, look at your state public health websites. There's plenty of resources. But remember the 2-week rule. Identity, this holds back a lot of people, particular people who had power with their jobs. And I cite two groups that, one of bank presidents. So I know I was on a tennis court of a home of a bank president. The wife came out and was chatting with us, and I said, well, how's John doing? And, well, John's not doing so well. What's the problem? No one calls him. Well, why should they call him? He's no longer the president. But they can't give up. Police officers have the same issue. They have a job with power. So they're used to saying, hey, move. People move. Now they're in retirement, they say move, and guys say, who the hell are you? So they can't give up the power. And that's a big part of loss of identity. Mourn it, it was good, but it's over. Now you have to move forward, and you're going to build a new identity. Many men, because they're no longer the breadwinner, and their wife is suddenly the major breadwinner, they have a hard time with that. So whatever the change is, again, we're talking loss and change, loss and change. Mourn the loss. It was good, but put it away and then move forward. This is more loss of identity. Here are some signs. If you're holding on to the past too much, you're always talking in the past, that's going to prevent you from ever moving forward. We all know the story of people we know, and they're constantly in the past. Well, when I did. You want to actually avoid people like that, because those are what I call Debbie Downers and Bill Downers. They're going to prevent you from moving forward. So you got to move forward with a positive outlook. Remember if you find yourself staying with the same social circle that is back from work, that again is going to prevent you from moving forward. You know, this again and again and again, it's loss and change. Loneliness is a huge issue. It's a major cause of death. It's not recognized enough. Now with the COVID and everything else, it becomes more and more of an issue. But like everything in this talk that I'm going to talk about, there are ways you have to move yourself. If you're lonely, you have to get off your butt and do something, and reach out. Always have a group of people that you can call on, who the experience of talking with them is going to be positive, and it's going to put a smile on your face. I mean, the UK is way ahead of us on this one, because they have a minister of loneliness who is a cabinet level position for all ages. But with seniors, it's a major issue. So when you're in your senior years, create a small group of people that you know. You can contact them by phone, email, whatever way is good, and you're going to get a good, positive feeling from that experience. Don't spend too much time on social media. That can lead you to be more depressed and lonely. Self-reflection is a key to combating loneliness. And you're going to see this throughout this whole talk. It's all about self-reflection. You can't move forward until you start looking inward. And you're looking for yourself, looking for those things that make you feel good. So here is the image of the good life in America. Good-looking couple, silver-haired, dancing on the beach. They're the golden age. And people, I would say 95, 98% of people look at this and say, wow, that's not me. What's wrong with me? And in fact, there's a gerontologist who wrote a paper, and she came to this conclusion. People can go through hell when they retire, and they will never say a word about it, often because they are embarrassed. Yeah. The cultural norm is for retirement that you are living the good life, and they feel they're not. And that's all an illusion. Again, it's all personal. It's your life. You build it for yourself. And you can't forget about what anyone else is doing or what the public image is doing. Find a friend. I gave this talk, and a man said to me, I came here, Henry, for one purpose. You got to tell me how to make new friends. All my friends have died. Very painful to listen to him, but good for him. He's taken control and wants to find out how does he do it. And so we talked, and I said, you know, what are your interests? Wherever your interests are, join a club. Go to a senior centers are wonderful, the opportunities for doing different things. Take a course. Go where there are people of similar interests. I've lived in many places all over the world. First thing I ever did was, whenever I moved, either in a different state or different countries, join a tennis club. I automatically have a social network. So but it takes effort, as all of this does. And it's rewarding. Yeah. That's the good part. So here are some, as I traveled from my midlife, I started watching people who were doing well with their senior years. What can I learn from them? So here are some examples that I garnered. Here's a man on the left, 88 years old, wrote his life story by hand, and then published it, and spent 2 trips to Ireland promoting his book. He just loved it. He put a whole new bounce in his step, as they say. Here's a woman, a retired teacher. She was floundering around, and so she came to one of my talks, and she said, you know, I think I can do that. So she wrote a book about her experience with mothers of Down syndrome children. Wow. And she was so excited by that. Now she just wrote one about mothers with autistic children. So really gave her a whole new attitude. She loves going around talking about her book, but it just is a whole new life for her. So there's only one, unfortunately, movie star I've ever kissed in my life, and this is it, Mitzi Gaynor. But I talked to her about doing a book. And she said, you know, I want to still work, so I'm not going to write a book because I'd have to tell the truth, and that would end my career. But she said, you know, my husband and I are approaching retirement. So we've traveled from New York to LA and back and forth. We don't know America, so what we're doing in my retirement years is putting together a one-woman show. And we're going to go to Duluth, Minnesota, Omaha, Nebraska. We're going to see America. Great vehicle, great way to spend your senior years. Here's another man, retired twice, FBI agent. And he said, you know, I always dreamed about writing a book. And so I said, why don't you? Well, he did, and he loved it. And he had a moderate success, and then he wrote another book. Now he's on his 3rd book. It's all about getting up and doing. This man is passing by this is being what I call open to opportunity, being spontaneous. The sign says there's a ski contest in Manchester, it's open ski, and he joined it, and because of his age, at 73, he won it, and then got invited to the Nationals. Being spontaneous, being open to opportunity, that's all about life. Here's a woman that had managed a big nonprofit, And she, big staff and all the rest of it. Now she just counsels and assists this very small dental clinic nonprofit that does dentistry for poor children. So they all had a positive outlook. They all were individualized, and they thought about their future. That is the key. So what I really conclude, your later years in life are just another adventure.
Absolutely.
And it's all on you. Underlying, and you have to do obviously everything that is in health.
Yeah.
Here's some myths. People say it's a piece of cake. Men and women are the same. Men and women are not the same. So women are much more social than men. And men have to really work at being social. And as the story I told you of making new friends. Many people say, well, my hobby is going to keep me for 25 years, maybe you're going to do your hobby. That doesn't work. That's only part of your life. Success in working life guarantees success in retirement. Doesn't. Different skill set. Yeah. Again, your past is your past. There are enough odd jobs around the house to keep me busy. No, not for 25 years. So those are all myths. And here's the beauty of everything. It's one plan. You have your plan. Do what's good for you. Right. What makes you feel good? And you may have 25% of your life to live. That's a long time. Relationships, very important. Those are keys. Family and friends, positive relationships. Introspection, you want to look into yourself. What I really want to do. And people in their retirement drudging up like that FBI agent, those old dreams. Now I have the time, I have the money. Sometimes it doesn't take much, but I want to fulfill those earlier dreams. So I'm running out of time here, but I do. This goes back, because this is one of my favorite quotes. Charles Darwin, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. We talked about a lot of this earlier. So here's the goal for a married couple.
Good.
And marriage issues, one working, they all have to be negotiated. Different tracks in life. I'll just leave you with one thing that I'm very happy I've done is on grandchildren. You have a special time in your life with your grandchildren. So I'm at my oldest grandson's second birthday. He's got his cousins and neighbors at the table, and the in-laws and the outlaws. And I'm saying, what am I doing here? He doesn't know or care. And so I decided from then on, I'm not going to go to any more birthday parties. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take him or one of my granddaughters to a special birthday, just the two of us. Now with him, I've been doing it for 20 years, and the others but the nice part is now as their birthday approaches, they'll say to me, Grandpa, when's our birthday dinner? But I've got to know them, and they've got to know me as individuals. And it's been a very, very rewarding thing. So I will go back to be thankful for what you have. That's the basic. And then move forward. And don't forget to bounce the last check.
So Henry, talk a little bit about what do the studies show about longevity in retirement?
The Columbia Butler School of Aging just did a terrific study, and some of the lessons they've learned is that once people have housing and food, money does not enter into their retirement enjoyment.
Uh-huh.
That was one of the key ones. They're not afraid of death. They talk about it. They just know it's a constant. They all look forward. Again, all look forward. And these are people who were studied for 2 years on a daily basis on their daily activities. So they all look forward, and they all have different interests. Some are new, some are old interests, but they all created a life that has meaning and purpose for them.
Aha. That's really the key, isn't it? And I think, as you say, social interaction is so very important, and that's a very difficult thing for some men,
It is.
including my husband.
Well, it's on them. They have to, it's, sink or swim.
Right.
You have to, if you want to enjoy life, there's certain things, these are all backed up by studies.
Yes, they are. And I can't thank you enough,
Oh,
Henry,
thank you.
for telling us that. And I know Henry has a lot more that he would like to say, but our time is running short. And I think he's given you some wonderful clues. And please share that with people who are about to retire. And until the next time, be good, do good, be one.